up, people? Today I'm going to be doing a tier list for all the DCEU movies. The thing about these tier lists is that they don't have Batman vs. Superman in the theatrical, and then they don't have it separate from the theatrical and the Ultimate Edition, because I think, both of those cuts would go into completely two different tiers. So when I get to Batman vs. Superman, we're going to be talking about the Ultimate Edition, but I will tell you where I would put the theatrical. So yeah, let's start off this tier list. I'm going to start screen recording in 3, 2, 1, and it is screen recording now. So yeah, first up we actually have Batman vs. Superman. So let me just go ahead and tell you where I think the theatrical edition goes. I think theatrical is bad. They don't give Superman a motivation. There's a lot of choppy editing, particularly in the first act, where you almost can't even comprehend what things are going on. So you have a choppy first act, bad villain, third act that kind of tacks on another villain, a lot of weird setups, and one of your characters doesn't even have a motivation. But the Ultimate Edition, I'm going to bump up to here. Okay, Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition, they give Superman a motivation, that's fixed. The first act is actually comprehensible. First act fixed. Yes, it is a 3-hour runtime, but I would rather have a 3-hour movie that's okay than a 2.5-hour movie that's bad. So yeah, but still, things don't work about this movie for me. I still don't like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I don't like Doomsday and being just kind of crammed in there. I don't like how much is trying to be crammed into this movie. But what I do like about this movie is the applications of things that haven't been ever done in a comic book movie before, the politics behind it. And I'm not saying like, I'm glad that they're political. It's just exploring the idea of that was just very fascinating to me. Like, what side would this side take, and what side would this side take? And, I'm glad that they kind of explored that. I thought it was pretty cool. But, yeah, and Ben Affleck, I think, is awesome in this movie. Ben Affleck as Batman is just god level in this movie, and people hate Ben Affleck because he kills people, but I am a person that's down for any interpretation of a character. It's just as long as if it's consistent. I want to see something original and new. And so I don't mind Ben Affleck's Batman in this movie, and I honestly prefer Ben Affleck. I think Ben Affleck gives a better performance in Batman vs. Superman than he does in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And the other Justice League, to be honest with you. I just adore Ben Affleck in this movie. Henry Cavill in this movie didn't necessarily, for me, wasn't as good as he was in Man of Steel, but I thought this movie was fine overall. I still kind of battle about it for some people, but yeah. Anyways, next up we have Man of Steel. I want to put Man of Steel in the great tier. What I like about Man of Steel is that it accepts for what it is, but tries to get to a deeper level. It knows it's a huge Hollywood blockbuster, but it still tries to get to that level of deep emotionness, if that makes any sense. Like, it's almost like Snyder I felt like he was trying to merge what Christopher Nolan likes to do and what he likes to do with his characters. He likes to have the big scale. Christopher Nolan likes to have, obviously, a great score by Hans Zimmer, and he always likes to have the great messages and things in there. And of course, there's some messages that are kind of iffy with Clark's dad, but it's questions that would be asked in the situation that Superman would be in. So it explores corners that you didn't expect to go in, but yet it still gets that nice Hollywood blockbuster feel. Yes, the third act can run for a little too long, but it's just a lot of eye candy in the third act, but I really do enjoy Man of Steel. Next up, we have Birds of Prey and The Longest Name Ever. I'm going to go ahead and put this either in the mix or okay. I'm going to talk about it first before I pick a tier for it. The thing about Birds of Prey is that there's nothing horrendous about it. I just have a hard time staying through it after rewatch. The first time I watched this, I'll say, if it was just for first viewing, I'd put Birds of Prey right in the good tier. But after second viewing, particularly knowing that none of the characters are really going to have any importance just because of how this movie bombed, none of the characters that we really came to know and like would come back besides Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. And thank God she is prominent in this movie, because if it was just set up for characters we never see again, I'd probably put it in the bad tier. But since Harley Quinn is more of a Harley Quinn movie than a Birds of Prey, things there worked. It's just, I didn't get really too invested with the story because it's MacGuffin after MacGuffin with the diamond is in the stomach. We had to get the diamond out of the stomach. It felt very, like, For me. And the way that they do the storytelling is fine. Like, I thought I was mixed on it in Deadpool. I'm still kind of mixed on, like, the jumping back and forth here. And there's a way to do that. And I think it worked in the Suicide Squad, which when Gunn did it. But there's some other movies I'm, like, kind of iffy on it. But, yeah, over time, I appreciate Birds of Prey for what it is. If I really wanted to, I could put it in mixed, but I want to be nice and put it in okay. Coming in next is Shazam. I'm going to go ahead and put Shazam in the great tier above Man of Steel. Shazam really did surprise me on a lot of levels. On an emotional level, on a character level, on a villain level, not so much. But in the third act was a little corny for me. But besides that, I really was impressed with this movie, and I thought it was quite hilarious. So I'm going to leave Shazam where it is. It's a very relatable story, and it's something that me particularly can relate to if you know the situation. Well, I'm gonna. Anyways, Billy Batson, he's in search for his mom. He wants to learn about her, and he accepts that his mom. He's never gonna get anywhere with it by the end of the movie, and he accepts family where he is. It's relatable to me because my mom passed when I was 2 years old, and my whole life I've been trying to learn about her, and so. Yeah, it's a really relatable story, and it really gives you a gut punch right before that third act, right before that triumphant moment where he jumps off the rooftop and, he becomes Shazam. There's just a lot of strong moments right there that can be really relatable. It's almost like the Spider-Man of the DCEU, and it really works for me. Coming in next is Wonder Woman 1984. A lot of you people want me to do this, and I get that, but I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to make you guys mad. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the good tier. I've always enjoyed this movie. I really have. From day one, I enjoyed it. I do think it's overhated. And yes, well, here's the thing. The problems that people have with this movie are 100% valid, and I agree with every single problem that people have. Like, yeah, the wish thing is a little inconsistent, but what I like about this movie is how it captures the spirit of the older Wonder Woman. It really shows how perfectly I think Gal Gadot is as Wonder Woman. I just love her in the role. Pedro Pascal is great. Kristen Wiig is great, even though she's kind of useless. She's great. Everybody in this movie is great. Hans Zimmer gives a fantastic score. It's just the main problem, is Patty Jenkins' writing. But I still enjoy this movie, and this might have my favorite DCEU scene. Period. The scene where she has to say goodbye to Steve. It just hits you on those levels. It's just maybe it's the dynamic between just Chris Pine, so many CPs, but Chris Pine and Gal Gadot. I don't know if it's just that, but it's something about that scene just really hits hard every single time. I enjoy Wonder Woman 1984 quite a bit. Next up, we have Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't know if you guys know the story about this, but I had quite the experience watching this for the first time because I won a screener through Zack Snyder's Twitter because I'm not like a huge professional critic, so I'm not going to get handed screeners left and right. I was just handed Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I went into this movie thinking, I'm curious because most of the time when I see a movie, I already know what I'm going to think by the reviews. And I'm not saying I copy what people say, but I just know, if this person found the villain weak in this movie, I know I'm going to find it weak. Because if this person thought it, I'm going to probably think it. And I'm not saying I copy what they say. It's just, I go in expecting it, and then I'm like, yeah, the villain was pretty bad. And there's been times, like Wonder Woman 1984, people were telling me it sucked when I went into it, and I really enjoyed it. Honestly, I put it in the good tier. So I'm not one of those people that just copies what people are saying. So Zack Snyder's Justice League was a very interesting experience because this is the first time in a while me going into a movie that's brand new saying, am I going to be in the minority here? And so, but I remember watching this movie, I'm like, there's no way it's going to get a Rotten Tomato because look at it. I think it has like a 70-something. So, yeah, and I still think that's pretty low for the movie. But it's just, what compliments Zack Snyder's Justice League so much is just how it compares to Justice League. I watched them back to back, and I'll say Justice League makes Zack Snyder's Justice League better. I'll say that for sure, and that's why I want to put Zack Snyder's Justice League in the best tier. It's not anywhere near perfect. You could take out a solid 30 minutes, but I'll just say if we got this released in theaters In theaters, we would have gotten a 3-hour, 3.5 hour cut, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is probably what we would have gotten on Blu-ray, because Snyder, he had the Ultimate Edition for Batman vs Superman, so I'm sure he would have given this us on the Blu-ray. So, yeah. Anyways, next up is Suicide Squad. Awful. I can't with this movie. I really can't. I tried to watch it the other day. I almost turned it off, but just kind of went on my iPad and just let it run in the background. The first 15 minutes is laughable. It really is, because once the people started pointing out how many songs they actually go through within the first 15 minutes, it's hilarious. It's almost self-parody of and with the character introductions, the mess of a plot there is. The second and third act, it's just them walking around a city, and they have to go to this place, and they have to go to this place, and then they have to go to this place and blow this up with the sky beam. It's just so cliche. It's Suicide Squad. Next up, we have Aquaman. I've had a weird relationship with this movie. This might be the most... I might have watched this movie the most out of all the DCEU movies, because every single time I watch it, I'm like, I'm gonna love it this time. But each time I walk out of it going, So, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go ahead and put Aquaman in the mixed tier. I know James Wan did a fantastic job directing. The third act has such strong action sequences that are visually great. Jason Momoa is having so much fun with Aquaman. It's just the script is so stupid at the same time. I'm sorry. The script is what really holds this movie back. If this movie had a better script, it's probably being great or best. It's just, the plot, the script is just pretty dumb and pretty copy-paste. So, yeah. Anyways, next up we have Wonder Woman. I want to go ahead and put Wonder Woman in the great tier. What holds us back from being best is, of course, the third act, which I don't even think is bad. I just think it's eh. So the third act, if it was stronger, it'd definitely be in the best tier. But, it has that problem at the end. The villain is pretty stupid. And the first 2 acts of Wonder Woman are so strong. It's just what really holds this movie up for me. Gal Gadot, like I said, and I'll say it again, it's just perfect as Wonder Woman. And the action sequences in Wonder Woman are so exhilarating every single time I watch them. Well, minus the third act. But, yeah, I just love Wonder Woman. Next up, we have Justice League. Bad. I wouldn't say awful. I feel like Suicide Squad might be reserved for awful. And when it comes to my scores, I gave Aquaman a 4.8 out of 10. Because and that's just me being nice to it. There's 2 movies I'm being nice to, and that's Aquaman and Birds of Prey. I really should put them down one more, but I can't do that in good conscience. But, and like I said, I gave Aquaman a 4.8, and I gave Justice League a 4.7. So that 1 point, I guess, made it from mixed to bad, because Justice League has okay points. There's still some strong moments in here, because there's a lot of scenes in Justice League that are in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So there's some good moments. The characters are fine for what we see them. It's just too little too late. Like Cyborg, he's a joke in this movie. You don't know anything about him. The Flash, he's a joke. You don't know anything about him. It just doesn't really give you any time for build-up. Like in Zack Snyder's Justice League, you have such a fantastic build-up to Superman. He's back. And you're like, yes. And I knew it was going to happen, but I was like, yes, it's such a good build-up. But, Justice League, you're like, okay, he's back. So, yeah. And that's all I have to really say about that one. Next up, we have the Suicide Squad, and like everyone else, it's going to shoot right up to the top, and it's even better than Zack Snyder's Justice League. I've watched this movie twice now in 12 hours, and I liked it even more the second time. It's just such a fun movie. It knows what it is. It really is. It's just a lot of fun. And I'll just say, on Letterboxd, not a single one of these movies are at 5 stars yet. So maybe the Suicide Squad will be at one point. I gave it a 9.4, but if it's a 9.5, it goes to 5 stars. So yeah, it needs a little bit more of a nudge to get there. And maybe upon third watch, which I do plan on watching again real soon. So maybe it'll be there, but not so far. These haven't really gotten to what I think they can 100% be the best at. But maybe once I watch the Suicide Squad again. And that's what I am about new releases. Like, I'm always a little bit harsher on them because I know as they age, you know, as everything ages, they slightly, you know, you find more problems with it. So I almost prepare for that because technically I want to give like the Suicide Squad like a 9.6, 9.7, but I'm being nice right now, giving it a 9.4. So yeah. Anyways, that's the tier ranking for the Suicide Squad. I'm not for the DCEU. Comment down below how you guys would rank it, and this isn't already in order of how I would rank it in the first place. So yeah. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, and stuff like that, and adios.